So next everyone, we are going to discuss about the method of making observation. Everyone, there are two methods of making observations that we are going to discuss today. For the first one is using our own senses, and the second one is using tools or equipment. So there are 5 senses that been used, which are smell, we use nose; hand, for touch; sight, we use eyes; hearing, we use our ears; and taste, we use our mouth and tongue. So, the first sense that we are going to discuss is sight. These are the eyes that help you see. Yes, you are using it right now while looking at me. These eyes are helping you to see things, just like it helped you to see what the next like. The second sense is hearing. These are the ears. It helps you to hear. Wait a minute, did you hear that? Yes, is it beautiful? Your ears help you to hear. So whenever you hear beautiful things like birds chirping or a car is blowing its horns, you know it is your sense of hearing. Wait a minute. I smell something. Is it coming from the garbage bin outside? Oh, by the way, this is your nose. It helps you to smell different things. It could be something sticky, like the garbage bin, or something delicious, like a cup of hot chocolate. So, the fourth sense is taste. This is our tongue. We use our tongue to taste different kinds of food, whether it's sweet, sour, bitter, or spicy. You know it all because of your sense of taste. So the last sense is touch. This is your hand. This is your skin. It helps you to touch and feel things. So when you touch the clay and the brick, do they feel different to you? Does the clay seem soft and smooth, and the brick seem like hard and rough? So, if you want to know the answer, you could try it by yourself. So, everyone, this is an example how we want to use our own senses to describe things that we want to observe. So, the 5 senses that been used are sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. So, there are 5 senses. So, in this picture, I bet everyone know that this is Oreo. It's kind of food. So, for the first sense is sight. We use our eyes to see. So, when we see Oreo, we know that it is small, look appetizing, it has round shape, and the color are black and white. So, next sense is hearing. Actually, it has no sound, but when we break it while we eat it, it has crunchy sound. So next, for the sense of smell, we use our nose to smell. When we smell Oreo, it smells nice. So the next is the sense of taste. We use our tongue and mouth to taste the food. When we taste Oreo, it tastes sweet, crunchy, and of course, it tastes good. So the last sense is touch. We use our hand and skin to touch. When we touch Oreo, we can feel that it's hard and dry and also light, and the texture is rough. So that's how you use the sense to describe things that we want to observe. Okay. Right, everyone. Before we proceed to the next method of making observations, I would like to share with you some information that can give you extra knowledge. So for the first extra information that I would like to share is, did you know that snakes can hear with their jawbones? This is because the cochlea is connected with their jawbones. So if you walk past a snake while resting its head on the ground, I advise you to be more careful, because the vibration from your footsteps can jiggle the snake's jaws, which shakes the snake's cochlea. So the snake can hear your move. So I hope you can be more careful when you see snake. The next information that I would like to share is 80% of what human experience as taste is actually smell. This is the questions that related to sense. This is the question that you have to ask yourself when you use the senses to observe. So the first one is, how does the object feel? What the color of the object? How does the object taste or smell? What the object sound like? These are the questions that you have to ask yourself when you use your sense to observe. Okay, alright everyone, this is the second method of making observations using tools or equipment. So here are some examples of using tools or equipment to make observations. So the first one is telescope. Telescope we use to see the rest of universe, such as another planet, moon or stars. So the next one is eyeglasses. Eyeglasses is to see people or things clearly from the far or short distance. Like me, I use my eyeglasses to see far things clearly because I have farsightedness. So the next one is microscope. We use microscope to see small microorganisms or bacteria because with our naked eyes we cannot see them. So the next one is litmus paper. Litmus paper we use to determine whether the solution is alkaline, acidic or neutral. So the last one is binoculars. Binoculars we use it to see far things seen near with us. So that is some example. Use tools or equipment to make observations. So alright everyone, this is an example of making observation using tools or equipments. So in this slide, you see that there is a X solution where we don't know the chemical names. So we want to determine whether it is acidic or basic. So if we want to determine whether it's acidic or basic, usually we use litmus paper test. So when we use litmus paper test to observe the solution, we notice the changes that the litmus paper test change from red to blue. So from the observation, we know that the solution is basic solutions. So that's how you use tools or equipment to make observations. So this is the second example of using tools to make observations. So in this slide, you can see that there is a picture of a moon. So we know that the moon is far from us. So did you know that what tools can I use to see the moon clearly? Yes, we use binoculars or telescope. Like I said before, binoculars can see far things seen near, and telescope can see the rest of universe like the moon. Okay, now we are going to look at the comparisons between sense and tools. There are two students, which are student A and student B, that want to see a bird on a branch of tree. So student A use tools which is binoculars and student B use her sense of sight which is her eyes. So after observing, we know that student A can see the bird clearly in terms of shape and color, but student B cannot see the birds clearly. This is because while using tools, we can see things clearly and also make our work more easier. So, before I end my presentations, I would like to ask each of you, for my examples, which method of making observation is more accurate? Yes, I know everyone agree that tools is more accurate than using just only sense to make observations. So I hope you can understand the method of making observation, which are the senses and also tools or equipments. Thank you.
Next, advantages and limitations of observations. First advantage is its directness. We can collect the data at the time they occur. The observers does not have to ask people about their behaviors and report from the others. He or she can just observe how people act and speak. Second, observation is useful to develop the hypothesis. And observers can gain a deep understanding of a phenomena by continuously observing it. By studying their routines, likes, dislikes, problem, perceptions, various activities, and much more can help him to form a hypothesis about them. Therefore, any researcher have to be good observer. Third, accuracy. Data that gathered through observations is more accurate than data gathered through the interview or questionnaire because the observer studies in the natural settings. Besides, observer can use variety of the instrument to assess the reliability or consistency of their behavior. The last advantage of the observation is the universal methods. Observation is commonly used in all science, whether physical or social. It has wider range of use. Besides, it is quite simple to follow and accept as a regular practice. Then, the limitations of the observations. First, not good for the blind learners. Observations method is not good for the blind learners because most of the observations depends on the eyes. Second is expensive. Observation is the one of the most expensive method to collect the data because observation process involving traveling, staying at the place of the phenomena, and purchasing advanced equipment. Besides requiring a high cost, it also takes a long time and demands a lot of efforts. Third, faulty perception. Observations require a high level of skill. The individual perceptions may be false and the observers can never be certain that what he is saying is same as his eyes see. What observers see and interpret is maybe not same. The two observers may judge the same phenomena differently. A scenario may provide something significant and beneficial to one individual, while it provides nothing to another. Scientific observations can only be made by observers who have a technical knowledge of the observation. The last limitations of the observations is difficulty in checking validity. It is never easy to verify the validity of an observation. Many observational phenomena are difficult to define with sufficient accuracy, making it difficult to draw reliable conclusions. Besides, the observer's lack of the skills may jeopardize the validity and reliability of its observations. So, it is important to use other qualitative data to get the method to control and eliminate the bias.
Hello everyone, it's me, Omar Zulkarnain, and now I'm going to talk about the observation and theory. So I'm not going to talk about two different things, but I'm going to talk about how does the theory influence the observation. So without further ado, let's proceed to the next slide. Okay, as you can see, we are focusing on three major points. The first one is as a guiding decision to when observations are credible. And the second one is a theoretical understanding of the world guides our selection of what observation need to do. And the last one is to describe whether what is observed has significant theoretical influence. So let's go to the first one. So what does it mean when we say the theory as a guiding decision to when observations are credible? So the first one is to ensure that there are no improper factors in the observation. So when we do the observation, the theory is to ensure that there will be no mistakes or there will be no false factors in the observation. And the second one is for the incorrect factors that need correction. So theory will correct the incorrect factors that exist in the observation. So when we usually use this concept of guiding decision to when the observation are credible is normally when the observation involve something that are assisted by machines, such as we are using the telescope or microscope and any other things. So moving on to the next slide. Theory guides the description of the observation. So as we know, and it is very common for us that theories involve many expectations and hypotheses. So the theory will guide the description of the observation means that we use related theories to explain what the observation means and to give or guide the appropriate context of the observation so that what we observe will not stray away or will not go out of our theory. Next is to describe whether what is observed has significant theoretical influence. So this is a little bit complicated, not too complicated to explain, but I will explain to you guys. So it means that when we are doing an observation, we will categorize or we will group items that we encountered or we jot down under certain categories. So these categories, we will specify which items are relevant to the theory that we are based on. And after that, we get to know, does these items or does this situation or notes that we encounter when we are doing the observation are parallel or are aligned with the theories that we are based on. So this case usually involve when no apparatus is used in the observation. So that's all for me about the observation. Thank you.